and simplify in the transcendental vibration. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. In this age, no one is expected to be highly educated in the Vedic ways of understanding because people are very slow, lazy, and unfortunate. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya has recommended the sound vibration Hare Krishna, and in the Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.32, it is also recommended Yagyeha Sankirtana Prayera Yajantit Hi Sume Dasaha. At the present moment, it is impossible to gather sacrificial necessities because of the poverty of the population and their lack of knowledge in Vedic mantras. Therefore, for this age, it is recommended that people gather together and chant the Hare Krishna mantra to purify the Supreme Personality of to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is accompanied by his associates. Indirectly, this indicates Lord Chaitanya, who is accompanied by his associates Nityananda, Advaita, and others. That is the process of performing yajna in this age. Another significant point in this verse is that there were animals for sacrifice. That these animals were meant for sacrifice does not mean that they were meant to be killed. The great sages and realized soul assembled were performing yajnas, and their realization was tested by animal sacrifice, just as in modern science tests are made on animals to determine the effectiveness of a particular medicine. The Brahmanas entrusted with the performance of yajna were very realized soul, and to test their realization on an animal was offered in the fire and rejuvenated. That was the test of the Vedic mantra. The animals gathered were not meant to be killed and eaten. The real purpose of a sacrifice was not to replace a slaughterhouse, but to test a Vedic mantra by giving an animal new life. Animals were used to test the power of Vedic mantra, not for meat. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Linda Mataji, are you on the call? Do you have a book? Or my sister is on the call. I think. Would you like to read?
Okay, I can read text 7.
Okay. Thank you.
Tam agatam tatra na kaschandriyat vimanitam yagya krito bhayajanaha ritesvareshra vai janinam cha sadaraha premashukanthaya parishashva jurmudha muda. Translation: when Sati with her followers reached the arena, because all the people assembled were afraid of Daksha, none of them received her well. No one welcomed her but her mother and sisters, who with tears in their eyes and with glad faces welcomed her and talked with her very pleasingly. Purport: the mother and sisters of Sati could not follow the others who did not receive Sati very well. Due to natural affection, they immediately embraced her with tears in their eyes and with loving feelings. This shows that women as a class are very soft-hearted. Their natural affection and love cannot be checked by artificial means. Although the men present were very learned Brahmanas and demigods, They were afraid of their superior Daksha, and because they knew that their welcoming Sati would displease him, although in their minds they wanted to receive her, they could not do so. Women are naturally soft hearted, but men are sometimes very hard hearted.
Thank you. Uh, so I will just read the last verse. It's a small verse. Um, so this is text 8. Saudarya samprasna samarthavartaya matra cha mrit स्वसिर्भिश्च सादरं दत्तं समर्यं दत्तं सपर्यं वरम् आसनं च सा नादता पित्रा प्राति नन्दिता सती. Translation. Although she was received by her sisters and mother, she did not reply to their words of reception. And although she was offered a seat and presents, she did not accept anything. For her father neither talked with her nor welcomed her by asking about her welfare. Purport. Sati did not accept the greetings offered by her sisters and mother, for she was not at all satisfied by her father's silence. Sati was the youngest child of Daksha, and she knew that she was his pet. But now, because of her association with Lord Shiva, Daksha forgot all his affection for his daughter, and this very much aggrieved her. The material bodily conception is so polluted that even upon slight provocation, all our relationships of love and affection are nullified. Bodily relationships are so transient that even though one is affectionate towards someone in a bodily relationship, a slight provocation terminates this intimacy. Okay, so I think that's for the verses for today. So, actually, the first verses has no purport. It's just a translation. It is the continuation from the previous verse, where yesterday we heard that Sati actually, in the beginning, Sati actually asks Lord Shiva to go with her. But then later, she's Lord Shiva, in fact, is asking Sati also to not go. So Sati, she just decides that she will go by herself. So in the last verse from yesterday's class, we saw that Sati actually leaves, and then she's going very quickly so that Lord Shiva doesn't stop her. And the followers of Lord Shiva in thousands actually accompany her into the sacrificial arena of her father. So today's verse actually speaks about Sati is given a bull to sit upon, and she's also given her bird, which was her pet. Then she bore a lotus flower, a mirror, such kind of paraphernalia, and was covered with a canopy. So all of this with drums, conch shells, and bugles, it actually made everything look like a very royal parade when Sati was going to the arena of Daksha's sacrifice. So I want to ask Dheera Shanta Mataji if she'd like to share any points from what she read from the verse. Mataji, would you like to share anything from the next verse?
From this, Mataji, I really like it. I'd like to share, when Sati got there, like everybody was like, all the Brahmanas were like, chanting the Vedic, mantras, Vedic, rhymes. And so now, in Prabhupada, he said in his purport, like, nowadays the Brahmana is not that qualified, they are lazy, and they don't have that much knowledge about Vedas, So in this time, so that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like, did all, like, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like, did for Kali Yuga is like, it says, this transcendental sound vibration has been simplified in the transcendental vibration Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This is, I really liked it. And the other thing is, like, people always says about the, animal sacrifice, right? Which is not good. People always, like, other religion, they people say, you all are vegetarian, but, you sacrifice animals. So, and over here is clearly says, like, I never heard this before. So, like, Prabhupada said here, like, nowadays, all the, modern science, they test on animals, like, they're, whatever they are practicing is working or not. And like Prabhupada said, is the same way. So we see, this is, this I really liked it. So the also, Brahmanas, so they also do the animal sacrifice, not for eat, not for eat. So it's for, for the animals liberation, so they can get the maybe human body, or maybe they can go back to Godhead. So these 2 points I really, really liked it on, in this text.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Mataji. Actually, it's a
So I don't have that much knowledge, Mataji, so maybe you can,
No, Mataji, I also don't have. Actually, you shared what was in the purport, and that's what we are supposed to be speaking about. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, it's Prabhupada, he really explained very simply. So, and that is really true also. So we, not all the Brahmanas are very qualified. So, and it is very simple to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Actually, it is very true. The points that you brought up is, one thing is that the Brahmanas are not qualified to chant the mantras the way they are supposed to chant to bring auspiciousness, because actually the mantras are designed in such a way that even if one syllable is not chanted properly, then we don't get the entire benefit of the sacrifice. And sometimes it can also happen that if the mantra is chanted with an extra syllable or one less syllable, then it can actually cause the opposite effect of the intention with which we are doing the sacrifice. So it is possible. And the sacrifice also needs, like here we are reading that there were great sages, brahmanas, demigods, all of those were assembled. And then there were also like pots made of clay, stone, gold, grass, skin. So all of these, like here they're saying that they're all the requisite for the sacrifice. So in Kali Yuga, unfortunately, we don't have that kind of money to actually perform such big sacrifices like they used to be done. So nor we have the money, nor we have the resources. Now everything is contaminated. We cannot even get like real clay or pure gold to make, even if we wanted to, even if we were rich enough to make. But even the resources are not there to do it. So therefore it is recommended, like you said, that in Kali Yuga, because everything is so degraded, no matter what kind of sacrifice we do, it doesn't really bring much benefit. Actually, we were reading in the first canto, that all of these sages of Naimisharanya, they all assembled there, and they were actually trying to perform this very great sacrifice so that they can bring benefit to all of humanity. But then, since Kali Yuga had already begun, when they started this sacrifice, they realized that they were actually, except that their faces were becoming black, nothing from the suit of the sacrifice, not much benefit was coming. So that is the reason they actually asked Sutta Goswami to recite Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore, actually, in many places, we will hear that Prabhupada is emphasizing this point again and again, that the sacrifice that is recommended to bring benefit in Kali Yuga is the one that is given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is the Sankirtan Mahayagya, because when we perform this chanting of the holy name as a sacrifice, that is dedicated for the pleasure of the Lord, then actually we are not just benefiting ourselves, but we are actually benefiting the whole of humanity. So it is a very easy but extremely effective way of purifying ourselves and getting benefit in this age of Kali. Because with no other process, we can actually get the same benefit that we can get by chanting this name. And what is the benefit we are getting? We are actually getting the benefit of love of God. And also we are able to actually, in the perfectional stage, understand our original relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's the greatest gift, is to actually understand our relationship with Him. Because we have lost that relationship, that's the reason we are in this material world. And to re-establish that relationship is the greatest gift. So actually, I was thinking that it is almost Christmas time and everybody is giving each other like so many different gifts. But this great gift that we have received, not just that we treasure for Christmas, but we actually to treasure it day after day, like it's the perfection that we are looking for. So, and then like Dhirashanta Mataji very nicely explained about how, people are misinterpreting the Vedas, because generally in the Vedas, when we say animal sacrifice, then it's rejuvenating the body of an old animal into a new animal, or a young animal. But these days people quote Vedas and then they actually kill animals and eat it. So Prabhupada is sharing here that animals are not meant to be eaten, but they're actually used as an instrument kind of a thing that actually speaks about the qualification of a great sage. So if a great sage is unable to rejuvenate the body of an animal, then his qualification is not good enough that he can be called a great sage. So in order to test the qualification, these kind of animal sacrifices were used. So in the next verse, I will try to quickly finish these two so that we can talk more and discuss more, because these two are short purports and translation. So we see that when Sati reaches the arena, because Daksha was such a powerful person, everybody were afraid of Daksha. And none of the Brahmanas or the great sages or any of those present in the sacrifice welcomed Sati, except for her mother and sisters. So they welcomed her with some uh, pleasing words of affection, and they also embraced her with tears in their eyes and loving feelings. So Prabhupada here, he's again making this point that women are very naturally affectionate and soft-hearted, whereas men can sometimes be hard-hearted. So yesterday we talked about this, kind of touched this point that women are, they have that, naturally they have this tendency where they care for everybody, and um, they're very affectionate in, because it's just their psychophysical nature, and the service that's given to them is to care for the family and then care for the kids, care for the uh, uh, care for her husband and serve them in such in that manner, actually speaks that they are very affectionate in nature because their service is such. And in the last verse, we hear that Sati was very aggrieved. She was not happy that her father was not speaking to her, because Sati was the youngest of all the children of Daksha. And although her mother and her sisters, they offered her a seat and gave her some presents, but she was not happy with that. She was actually, because her father, he was very loving towards her when she was a kid, because she was the youngest of all. So she was actually expecting that her father will receive her nicely, and then he will speak with her because his very affectionate daughter has come home. But when she saw that that was not the case with Daksha, then she was very aggrieved. So Prabhupada here, he is actually sharing that when the relationships are on a bodily platform, then, okay, let me read it because it's such a, they're very beautifully written. So I thought I will just read them again. The material bodily conception is so polluted that even upon slight provocation, all our relationships of love and affection are nullified. Bodily relationships are so transient that even though one is affectionate towards somebody in a bodily relationship, a slight provocation terminates this intimacy. Actually, this is very, very true. And I'm sure we all have experience of this, that although somebody might be serving, or like even in a husband and a wife relationship, they might be married for a really long time, and they might have served each other really well, but there is a possibility that if with a slight provocation, like somebody has said something or there's a misunderstanding, it can lead to divorce. And what actually happens is that when some, especially in Kali Yuga, because everybody is so disturbed, and they're very unfortunate, like we were hearing again from the first canto. So what happens is that even if a little thing provokes them, then it's very hard for them to tolerate it. And years and years and years of what of a relationship that they have gets terminated in no time. And people only remember the hurt of that one moment for many, many years, rather than many, many years of service that they have done prior to that one moment of anger or misunderstanding or whatever that is. And actually, I personally have experience of that, that even amongst devotees, we see that many devotees leave ISKCON after many years of service. Many years of service is so much so that they would have actually gone on the altar and dressed the deities very, very intimately for many years. But for some reason, some hurt feeling of one time actually has taken them away from the temple, from the devotees that they have relished for so many years. So therefore, actually, it is very important to have a spiritual conception. And spiritual conception is that whatever we are doing is we are doing for the pleasure of the Lord. If that is in the forefront, then everything else kind of fades away. It looks smaller because then we see that, okay, in the big picture, my service is to serve the Lord. It's okay if some people are not pleased. It's okay if some people are not happy with me. It's okay if some people don't say Haribol to me, or whatever that might be. We will transcend those because of the strength of our relationship with the Lord. And the moment we fail to chant properly, and the moment we fail to remember and keep Krishna in the forefront, then it's very easy to get drifted away. It's very easy to get carried away by the emotions that actually come along with misunderstandings and hurt feelings. And then eventually people actually leave the devotional practices, the devotional practices, which actually are the most important and what will actually bring them most benefit. So they actually forget to see their own benefit, and then they drift. So one last thing before I end, I wanted to read this. Actually, I had sent this daily japa inspiration in our group. And then I saw that Sachinandan Maharaj had actually kind of sent a small paragraph along with that quote to explain what that quote is about. So I just thought that I will read that. It is called the right tuning. Like, how do we actually tune into the chanting of the holy name? So it is said, he's actually Maharaj is saying, the right tuning or the right attitude is important for everything we do. When you come to a lecture and you really want to know what the lecturer has to say, you will be attentive and have an entirely different experience than if you sit down and you're not really interested. You might play around with your mobile telephone, check up WhatsApp messages, etc. This idea of tuning in is especially important when we sit down for our spiritual practice. When we sit down to do japa, it is important to center ourselves, to be there entirely. I always like, sorry, okay. I always like to remember this beautiful verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita that helps to tune me in. My dear Lord Krishna, since so many long years in this material world, I have completely forgotten you. But today I turn to you as your sincere and serious servant. Please accept me. Now, how do we turn to Krishna? What do we have to turn to Krishna for? First, we take our body. We sit down. We sit in an upright position for better concentration. We pronounce clearly and we listen attentively to our sound. Tuning to Krishna especially means to turn your mind to Krishna. Focus. Concentrate on your japa. Bring it back when everywhere it wanders due to its restless nature. And just focus it on a steady, enlivening stream of the holy name. And finally, do not forget the most important part of you, the part without which you're not alive, your heart. Turn to Krishna and say the prayer mentioned earlier. My dear Krishna, today I'm turning to you as your sincere servant. Please accept me. So the final conclusion, he says, pronounce clearly, listen attentively, focus your mind, and pray from the heart. Please accept me. So I will stop here and then I will see as other devotees would like to share more or correct or speak more of their realizations. Please go ahead and share. Okay. Looks like there is no sharing today. So I guess then we can end early so that we're prepared for our class tomorrow again. And thank you all very much for joining and being there for this nice Srimad Bhagavatam reading sessions every day. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.